Hi there. Thanks for coming. Even though I can see the future, I don't know exactly how this talk is going to go. One of the things that I wanted to do when I was younger, listening to Swami Satchidananda give talks, is that he always came unprepared. What he did do is that if he was in a public place, giving like a church or something, giving a talk, he'd ask for a few minutes to be by himself. And what he did was meditated in some way. I didn't know what he did or how he did it, but when he came out, he seemed to tune in to everybody. And the he was the master of many superpowers because I saw people's lives change, but he never really did it openly. There are some people that are going to listen to this video. They're going to acquire the skill that it talks about, and then they're going to be able to have those same skills. How do I know that? I know the future. I know the past. I don't know it all. I can get it all. So let me start out. Okay. This is sort of following along with the third chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The first chapter is telling you why you should study yoga. The second chapter is, which is the first seven of the eight limbs of yoga. That's where the term, so you hear people saying, I do Ashtanga yoga, eight limbs. The eighth limb is Samadhi. And when you accomplish Samadhi, and it's an accomplishment, then you can use that state, that same process of getting the state of Samadhi to um, then acquire a superpower. The name. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all the different ways you do it. This is too too large a subject for this video. Won't go anywhere if you just start talking about just even small parts. One of the things it says in the third chapter is that this ability of doing samyana is acquired in sages. Everything that they talk about can be accomplished with a person who's able to read and write and to think in a somewhat logical manner. No rocket science is required to do that. Okay, so the name for concentration, meditation, samadhi, when it culminates in samadhi, you can take that process of going from concentration on a subject, meditation on a subject, samadhi on a subject. The It's called samyana. Okay, so the sam in Sanskrit means the self. So samyana is the science of becoming the self. Okay, samadhi is the ability to become one with something, with yourself becoming one with something. And I know it's it's hard to give an exact meaning that people could understand. But let me give you some clue. Okay, before I was able to do samadhi, I already had a samadhi of a particular type. My name is Michael Weir. Before I went into the practice of samadhi, I already had a type of samadhi, which was the study of myself. Okay, I didn't worry about what Michael Weir would say, mostly, because if you asked me a question, I would think of the question. I didn't go to myself and say, "Oh, Michael Weir, what do you think?" I knew what I think. I was Michael Weir. In the same way, you as an individual are in samadhi with your own name and form. If you go to medical school and you do samyana on being a doctor, you take classes, you take out a loan and go into debt, and you go through 4 years of graduate work, I mean, uh, a Bachelor of Science usually, and then go into medicine another 4 years, and then a year of internship. You now act exactly like a doctor does because you have done samadhi on becoming a doctor. And now your name is Dr. John Smith. Exactly the same process goes on with knowing a superpower or becoming a superpower or becoming the person that has the superpower displayed. And it's this process of concentrating on something. Okay, there's the guy, okay, that wanted to learn to teleport. And so he spent every day for a long time learning what it meant to teleport. For him, teleporting meant, oh, if I sit in my bedroom, I can go to Paris and I can see what's happening. I don't always see it exactly as if I had went to Paris, but I could see enough of it that it matched what was going on. Later on, he was able to uh, see more clearly and describe whether the person was lying in bed or sitting up, okay, what he looked like. Later on, still, he learned to reach out and touch somebody on the shoulder, and they responded. The reason for learning to have a superpower is to convince you that you can alter reality. And you can do it long enough and hard enough that other people will see you do it. Okay. For example, Jesus in the Bible was seen walking on water. He had studied it. He had studied this particular book. Swami Satchidananda, $8 on Amazon. Maybe it's a little more now. I don't know. Okay, so if you're entering into this process and you have the ability to do the three aspects, and I'll give the Sanskrit name, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, through the process of samyana. This process of going through this and applying this has the name parinama. And again, you break up into two words, parinama. There's a famous Buddhist chant, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi Swaha. Gate means beyond. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate. So going beyond even the I, Parasamgate, beyond. Para means beyond. So parinama means going beyond beyond your name. Okay, so John Smith goes beyond his name and enters into the becoming a doctor, and his name now is Dr. John Smith. That's okay. And then there's a further extension of that whole process. Okay, so if you go look in the dictionary, it says parinama means transformation. Well, yes, but the real meaning is to go beyond your own name, to transform from your original name or whatever the name it is to something more, way beyond. Then there's another term, egreka parinama, which means the absolute. Okay, well, you were a child and your name was John Smith. You were the baby John Smith, maybe called Johnny. But you studied and did samyana on who you were to become an adult John Smith. No one had to give you a blueprint. That's just who you evolved into. In the same way, you evolve yourself into the ability, the city, the accomplishment to do that. See, it's one thing for some great guru to come along and say, okay, I can levitate. Okay, you go look at the videos, levitation, Buddhist monk, Tibet. Okay, actually happens. Understanding the reality and the ability to change it means that you have a whole different perspective of that. It's nothing what you think it is. It takes time to change that transformation. Sometimes you have past life and you had that experience. And people die with the thought, oh, I didn't levitate this lifetime. So the power of the last thought drives them this lifetime. I can see you listening and saying, that's what I want. So the very next thing that's going to happen is, how do I know this is true? He's talking a good game, but how do I know? Well, then this is that whole process of samyana, isn't it? Validate it for yourself, know for yourself, experience, and then you won't have any question of whether it's true or not. You will be it. There's a book called The Holy Science. This was written by the guru of Swami Yogananda, very famous in yoga circles, because he wrote a book talking about the saints and sages he met that had superpowers. Just to give you a brief digression, if you go to Yogananda's Self-Realization Fellowship, people will disavow the cities. They come expecting to know, uh, oh, they can be taught the cities. None of them have them. They have something, but it's not the cities. Now, the Holy Science, Sri Akaswar wrote in that book how we're moving into a different yuga or time and space where science and spirituality become predominant. I don't know if this is the right time to end this. It's as if I'm listening to somebody waiting for me to say something, waiting for me to tune in where they're at and say something to him, like Swami Satchidananda. And I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to be able to scratch your itch in this short video. What you can take away from that because I'm not satisfied is that this is something you wanted all your life? This means that you did it before. And nothing can keep you from doing it again. One of the things that you see in the third chapter, you can learn to smell ethereal smells. Swami Satchidananda, although he tried to dissuade people from learning the cities, said, oh, learn to uh, be able to smell these ethereal scents, like flowers where there's no flowers. My wife does that. He also said, learn to have the city that you can not feel hunger or thirst. He said, well, that was a good kitchen skill. Let me close with something that Swami Satchidananda did. He would say a mantra, and he threw the mantra out as a type of initiation. So I think what I'll do is just follow his example. The mantra I'm going to say is a Dattatreya mantra, which means that you can change reality very quickly. And maybe somebody will learn this mantra and learn to do it and change their reality, become more successful. Because one of the things Patanjali says, these cities can make you very powerful, very rich in society. Anyway, here's the mantra. Om Dattatreya Vidmahe Yogishwara Dhimahi Tanno Datta Prachodayat. I was talking to a lady today that I gave that mantra to. And she used it for 3 days and she wanted to find a mate. But then she stopped. But she stopped and she found somebody on Match and she went out with that person. But because she hadn't continued with it, she said today to me, oh, I didn't like him. But that's the way that mantra works. It alters things, but it does it in ways you can't predict. She should have kept doing the mantra. That was my conclusion. Anyway, thank you for spending the time with me. I enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. And I will hear from some of you. Thanks.